I'll wait about 30 more seconds. Let's call the Rotary Club of Ames to order. Welcome, April 24th, 2023. Those that are able, we always encourage or invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm not aware of any Rotarians asking for any special thoughts or prayers. So if there are some, please, if nothing else, indicate in the chat line. But in the meantime, let's think of those that are less fortunate than ourselves, the homeless, those in need of meals, and those impacted by our weather of recent and even the recent violence that's been occurring. So let's take a moment to recognize those. Thank you. Other than our speaker, I'm not aware of any guests that have joined us online. Karen, are you aware of anyone that may have joined us as a guest? Nope. Okay. Well, Mr. Christie, we'll go ahead and hand over to you the microphone, if you will.
All right. Thanks, Kent. A big welcome to everyone. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Nevada, London, or Gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be. Welcome at Rotary.
Thank you, John. As you were doing that, I was thinking, a week or two ago at C.Y. Stevens, they had Greek Week and they had the lip sync contest. And that's how I felt I was just doing, John. I was lip syncing to your singing. A couple of upcoming events and announcements we'd like to share. The Hope Walks Here is this weekend, Saturday, April 29th. And you're always encouraged to participate, to join us for that walk, or obviously financially. I do want to share, last week we dedicated the brag bucket to that cause, and we raised in the brag bucket $239. And then those that had participated in the NCAA basketball bracket contributed back another 110. So we're $1 short of $350. So that's just outstanding. I really appreciate that support. And I know the Evening Club appreciates that as well. And speaking of the evening, we will have a session this Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30 at Sweet Caroline's. We'd like to market that we're one club with two times. So that's kind of fun. On May 25th, another opportunity to serve. See Roger Meharry for signing and volunteering for the opening ceremony of the Special Olympics. We've been involved with that program for a number of years, and I appreciate everyone stepping forward to continue that. On May 22nd, we will be doing off-site fellowship meetings. I'm not going to read the list to you there. You can see that, but we do have the sign-up sheets available when we're meeting live. So please, when we're back at the Plex next Monday, sign up. And also, if you're unable to get there on Monday, you can let Karen or myself know, and we'll get you designated into one of these opportunities to visit. This will be a brown bag luncheon, because normally this would be a date that would be set aside for a Zoom. So this time we'll bring our own lunch and meet at the various locations that you choose to meet at. And then Karen, do we have does Rotary have a team for the walk this Saturday? Yes, we do. It's and it's under the Rotary Evening Walk. So we do have that designated. And you can email me and I'll get you more detail on that. Ames Miracle League is about to start. It's on May 6th through June 17th. Saturday mornings, 9 to 10. I have to tell you, of personal experience, it's just a wonderful time to gather and see these young people, or those individuals fighting with disabilities. So we would ask that you would sign up and commit for one weekend or more, maybe an hour and a half of your time, and you'll get more back than from what you put in, being with everybody there. The support is just awesome. So that's coming up again on May 6th. And I guess, Karen, do we have anyone yet on that? Have anyone signed up yet for May 6th? Okay. And we can always take as many volunteers as we can get. And then a further note, this Saturday evening, April 29th at the Hilton Garden Inn is our Rotary District 6000 conference. They did 3 sessions this year, and the one this Saturday will be the last of the 3. So if you have the opportunity to attend that, you're encouraged to do so. And you can sign up for that online at the District 6000 site. And I think we have 6 or 7 members that have already committed to be there. So thank you for your participation at the district conference. And never to end, June 13th, Rotary Night at the Iowa Cubs. And Karen, we'll have let's send this slide out to everybody, just so it's a little bit easier for everyone to see. $13 a ticket. I can't read all that, but I'll let you go ahead and know it's a great opportunity to be with Rotarians from around the state. And that would take care of any other announcements that I would have. Anyone else have any further announcements they would like to share or add to the conversation? Well, not seeing that, I do always try to share just a little bit of trivia. You're going to love this one. This day in history, in 1800, President John Adams accepted the appropriation of $5,000 to start a library. It is now called the Library of Congress, and it's the largest library in the world. So 200 and whatever, 23, I can't count that high. We started a library at $5,000. How appropriate for raising readers. Also today is National Corn Dog Day. So if you haven't had your lunch yet or dinner, you now know what to put on the menu. And it's also Bucket List Day. And I don't know if that's a review of what you've done or what you have yet to do, but take a look at your bucket list and move forward with that. Well, that's all I have to share at this time. I now have the opportunity to introduce our guest, President and CEO of DiscoverAmes, Mr. Kevin Bourke. Kevin comes to us as the head honcho. I like that, Kevin. With a wealth of community, ISU, state, and event experience to the DiscoverAmes organization. Kevin coached the ISU cyclone, track, and cross-country teams for 17 years. And in that time, he had 6 NCAA champions, 31 All-Americans, and 22 Drake Relay champions. An impressive resume, to say the least. Kevin applied these skill sets to be serving as the COO for the Iowa Sports Foundation based in Ames, and was responsible for statewide programs, including the Iowa Games, summer and winter, Adaptive Sports Iowa, and the Iowa Corporate Games. Kevin has been living in the Ames community for more than 35 years, and he claims he bleeds cardinal and gold, but we're waiting for the hospital report on that one, Kevin, to see. The cardinal's probably pretty close. I'm not sure about that gold part. He demonstrates a love for the outdoors and admits he's a fervent birder. Of course, his favorite bird in saying all that is Cy. He loves the big city and small town feel of Ames, and especially enjoys the fact that even with so much offered here, there are still no traffic jams, except for maybe an occasional day when a football game is occurring on a Saturday or a Thursday or a Friday, whenever they may be showing. And with that, we get to learn more and discover more about Discover Ames. Kevin, the podium is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for all the members for joining today. It's as Kent was reading that, I think that was from a couple of years ago, and it's all still true today, other than the occasional traffic jams now that we have because of construction. It is the season, and the other one with this summer with RAGBRAI coming, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, that will be a little bit of a traffic challenge on those days that they're here. I'm going to share my screen. Kent, are you seeing, am I up? Is this right? Okay, good. All right, well, thank you. So some of you are probably wondering, Discover Ames, what exactly is Discover Ames? And, the last time I spoke to Rotary was almost 2 years ago. And at that time, we'd been known as the Ames Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we have been the Convention and Visitors Bureau for over 30 years. And we've gone through a number of different name changes over the time frame. We were Think Ames at one time. We were Sites of Ames at Iowa State University. We were Visit Ames. We've been a lot of different things. And I look back at when we hosted, or when I spoke to the group last, and I pulled up a slide, and it was easier for me to tell the group who we weren't than who we were. And hopefully Discover Ames will be a good indication of really who we are and what we're trying to get accomplished. Well, when we went through the name change just over a year ago, we really looked at the 5 priorities that we have as an organization. In being the marketing leader of Ames and Iowa State University as a destination. We are what is known as a DMO, a destination marketing organization. And so we want to make sure we're the marketing leader. Business development is extremely important. Last week at this time, we had FFA here in town. We bring a number of conferences and events to the community, and that's what our business development is all about. Also, our community engagement is extremely important to us in that we want the Ames residents to not only know that we're here as a resource and as a service if they're bringing in visitors and guests, and also to let them know of the economic impact that our visitors do bring to the community. But it's also to educate our residents of all the great things that we have in this community. And so we want our residents to discover Ames as well. Obviously, the university relationship is extremely important to us. We have 2 units of Iowa State that are housed here in our office. And then also placemaking in that there's a lot of development. And as you go over to by Jack Trice and you see Sci-Town underway as far as the infrastructure, it's important that we're supportive of that to help create another attraction for our community. So all of those things are extremely important as we looked at rebranding to become Discover Ames. We officially are still the Ames Convention and Visitors Bureau, but Discover Ames is so much easier to say. And when we used to say the Bureau or the CVB, a lot of people just kind of got lost in what all of that meant. So hopefully this will resonate better with our residents and with our clients, that we want everyone to discover Ames. And also the color scheme, all of it works well with Iowa State. That was extremely important. And no, Kent, there isn't any gold in here, although I lobbied for it. But as we went through this change, we brought together a lot of community stakeholders to get the feel of what was important. So that way we had input from the chamber, from downtown, from campus town, other businesses, obviously different departments within the university, including athletics, rec services, marketing, licensing, all of those had a say in what was important to them as far as our brand and how that ties in with Iowa State. So that was all really important. And that was just over a year ago that we launched, or just shy of a year, that we launched Discover Ames. Within that, we also created a new website, discoverames.com. Again, as I mentioned, we had a number of different names over the time. And one of those was Think Ames. You know, Iowa City uses that as their tagline to their website, Think Iowa City. And I think that's great that I want people to think Iowa City, but I want them to come and discover Ames. They can think about Iowa City all they want, but it's really important that they discover Ames. But our website, particularly for visitors and for anyone that travels, you tend to go to a website often to the community that you're going to go to see what's happening, see the places to eat, the places to stay, the attractions that they have. And our website, I got to say, is second to none when it comes to providing information for our visitors. We also, the one thing that I am so proud of with our website is the community calendar, in that this calendar, you can click on a date, it'll bring up what's available that's happening in town on that date. You can actually click on the individual event and it'll tell you specifics about that. It might even have a link to where you can buy tickets to a show at CY Stevens or additional information. But this is truly a community calendar in that it includes 6 other calendars that from the chamber, downtown, the city of Ames, Iowa State athletics, the community schools. We didn't want to exclude those events and those opportunities that maybe aren't specific to visitors, but they may be more relevant to our residents, or they could be to our visitors as well. So, you know, like having the community calendar or the community school calendar on there is extremely important, because if you want to know maybe a play or a concert that they're having in their beautiful new auditorium, or an athletic event that's happening at the high school, that you can come to our website to get directly onto their calendar as well. So that's been really fun, and it's been a great resource. And I even had a report this morning that just last week we had over 16,000 views to our website, and over 2,000 of them were just to our calendar alone. So that was really neat to see. You know, our core focus of Discover Ames is to promote Ames and Iowa State as a destination to attract groups and visitors to the community. Pretty simple statement, but it's one that is important to us and one that we keep at top of mind. And with that, it makes a major economic impact to our community. And the most recent data that we have, just to Story County, we had over 700,000 visitors that spent $187.3 million. into the community. And it's not just to the hotels, it's retail, it's food and beverage, transportation, and obviously recreation. And recreation really falls, there's a lot of things that fall into recreation, whether it's a show at CY Stevens or Ryman Gardens or the University Museums. A lot of different things, athletic competition falls under recreation. So it's definitely, our visitors make a huge impact into the community. But when we do look at our overnight visitors, and this was just from last year, a lot of you have heard me say that when the pandemic hit, we did research, a lot of research as to how was that going to affect the hospitality industry. And at that time, all the indications said that we would not recover until 2024 or 2025. And as this graph shows, you can see the first graph, actually, we exceeded revenues from 2019 or 2018. And that's significant. And it's not only because of inflation. Obviously, we do have more hotel rooms, but we don't have weekends where we fill every hotel room like we do on football weekends. You know, that's only 6 or 7 weekends out of the year. There's only a handful of other events that fill the entire community. So to see the number of room nights that we had, as well as that revenue, is really showing that we're on the upswing. And the start of this year has already been just an amazing year for us. So we're really excited for what the future brings to Ames and to this community as far as an economic impact. One of the other things, obviously, RAGBRAI is coming to town. There's no stopping it at this point. A little bit of background, we hosted RAGBRAI 3 other times. The original route we hosted back in 1973. We were on that original route. We hosted it in 2008 and then 2018. There may have been another year that we hosted it back in the 80s. I think it was maybe 84. So that's 4 times that we've hosted it. But RAGBRAI had reached out to us in the middle of last year asking if we would be interested in hosting the 50th anniversary ride. Last year, they had a record number, and they knew with the 50th anniversary, it was going to be a huge year. And they wanted to try to recreate the original route. And being on that original route, we at DiscoverAmes were obviously supportive, but we needed to make sure that the university and the city and county were all on board. So I reached out to President Winterstein, the mayor, city leaders, board of supervisors, and we had some kind of closed doors meetings as to, is this something we want to do, that we're capable of doing? What might be the roadblocks with construction and some of the things that are happening ongoing, because we know the summertime is always a busy time in Ames for construction. And without a doubt, everyone was supportive of hosting it this year. So we moved forward with putting in a bid to RAGBRAI, and I felt pretty strongly that we were going to be selected. And this was announced back at the end of January that Ames would be part of RAGBRAI. They will be in Ames on July 24th. That's a Tuesday. I'm sorry, July 25th. That's a Tuesday. And then we'll be departing Ames for Des Moines on the 26th. So we put together a marketing team right away and came up with our slogan and logo for the year as cycling, fun, and Ames, as I like to say. We utilized part of the RAGBRAI logo in the bicycle that they have there. If you look close, you can see the 50 within there. There's also an L in there for Roman numeral 50. That's part of their logo, but we wanted to include the years and obviously the colors of cardinal and gold. RAGBRAI had certain restrictions of things that we could and couldn't use within it. And obviously the university also has some restrictions when it comes to using SCI. and the CY word. So we just went pretty simple with cycling, fun, and games. So we're pretty proud of what the logo looks like. It looks pretty classic. We feel it'll look great on a t-shirt and on all the materials that we produce. So to give you just a sneak peek of what the route is going to look like, you are actually the first group to see this. This has not been made public to anyone else, and you really can't see it on any other site. But riders will be coming into Ames in South Dakota from the south to Mortensen Road. It's the same route that they came in 2018. I was hopeful that I really anticipated that they'll be coming from Fort Dodge, because Fort Dodge was on the original route, but unfortunately they had some conflicts and weren't able to host this year. I really wanted to go through Central Campus like we did in 2008, but I think that would have created some logistical nightmares with some of the construction projects that are going on. So this is really the desired route from our city leaders, from a public safety standpoint, because it really doesn't tie up the community as much as some of the other routes would have. But they'll be coming in from the west on Mortensen, down Mortensen to Beach. And at Beach, they will turn north and will be entering Ryman service entrance. They won't be going to South Fourth. They'll be turning at that service entrance. It's used during football games as an entrance and exit to some of those lots on the south of Jack Trice. And then if you look at the smaller map at the bottom, riders will be going around the south side of Jack Trice outside the Sukup end zone, and will be going onto the bike path that goes outside the stadium and underneath the footbridge. And then from there, they will go to the north side of the Jack Trice and into Albaugh Plaza. And then we'll enter the stadium going up the ramp up to the concourse level where the restrooms and concession stands are. Again, around the west side and around the south, and then back to the east side where the footbridge is. So then riders will then be crossing over the footbridge to the RV lot. So we'll have riders going under the footbridge and over the footbridge at the same time. So we plan to do a welcome rally that will be inside Jack Trice. It will be in around the concourse level, all the way around. On that east side, if riders want to go another loop around the stadium at that level, they can certainly do that. We'll have the video boards going, we'll have music going, we'll have the ribbon board, a number of other things that will be happening inside Jack Trice on that concourse level. So we're pretty excited about what that footprint's going to look like. There's a number of things, a lot of details yet to be worked out, but we found that what people remembered back in 2018 when we hosted it last was they remembered Jack Trice. So we thought, why not do as much as we could inside for the riders as they're coming into town. Plus, when you're coming in on Mortensen, we don't have a lot of residential area. There's not a lot of hoopla that we can create along Mortensen. It's a little bit of a challenge. So we wanted to really create that excitement when they entered Jack Trice Stadium. So as riders cross over the footbridge over to the RV lot, we will have a large information area there where at that point then they will be dispersed to the different campgrounds that they'll be staying. So this is another map. It might be a little bit hard to see, but you can kind of see the route as they're coming into town. Again, this one has not been made public. You are the first ones to see this as well. This gives you kind of a footprint of what the campground, our RV lots and parking areas look like. It does not include downtown, which I'll talk about that in a minute, because the downtown piece is where we will have our evening concert and evening event. But this gives you an idea of what the footprint will look like. Over the years, Ragbri has really changed from being a lot of tent camping to a lot of RVs. Back when Lance Armstrong first rode in Ragbri, he wanted to bring an RV, and everybody told him, no, you can't bring an RV. That's kind of a no-no for Ragbri. Well, that has really changed over the years. I think some of that may have to do with COVID. Some of it may have to do with the age of the Ragbri rider, but the average age is 42 years old. Ragbri is not as young a crowd as it used to be. It's still growing, but it's an older crowd. So I think that comfort level of driving RVs is extremely important. So we have to designate a number of different areas for the RVs, and that's what you can see in that light blue area. But the purple area or pink area are all the campgrounds. We have about 15 areas that we have designated as campgrounds. With this being the 50th anniversary and not knowing how many riders we're expecting, this is a real challenge for us. Back in 2018, we did a really good job of taking care of the registered riders for Ragbri. Now, the registered riders, they're the ones that pay Ragbri to be a part of their event. They can take advantage of all the support, whether that's bike support or medical support, any of those amenities that Ragbri offers. But we know that there's thousands that ride Ragbri that are not registered. And those are all visitors to Ames as well. So it's important for us to make sure we take care of those riders. And the other thing that Ragbri is looking to do is set a Guinness Book of World Record ride from Ames to Des Moines the day that they leave here, of 100,000 people as their goal to be on the road between Ames and Des Moines. With that being said, again, we don't know how many overnight visitors are going to come to be a part of that record. We don't know how many people are going to come the morning of to drop their vehicle off or to be dropped off. And so that's creating a lot of logistical challenges for us. And with our campgrounds in a lot of different locations, we want to make sure we have enough areas for all riders and all of our visitors coming to Ames. So it's a real challenge, to say the least. We do know that we will have a lot of our campgrounds are designated for large teams or charters. Charters are groups that Ragbri riders will pay to actually have them set up their tent. We'll have their equipment all ready for them, and provide different amenities. So a lot of those campgrounds we will set aside and have specific areas marked off for them to be able to utilize. That will certainly help us in the management of the campgrounds and as this influx of visitors. Ragbri last year at this time, they had 11,000 registered riders. They already have 18,000 registered riders. So their number is up 6,000, almost 7,000 riders. We don't know if those registered riders are normally ones that wouldn't register, or if that's just additional to what they normally would have. So again, we just want to make sure we've got enough campgrounds set aside. Showers is another thing. We have a lot of portable showers that we'll bring in, but we'll be using Lead Recreation Center, State Gym. We're using Furman Aquatic Center, Ames Fitness Center, all for showers. We do know that there's a lot of people that have reached out to different entities in town to be able to camp in their facility. I know of at least 3 churches that will be hosting some Ragbri teams, and that's awesome. That alleviates a lot of congestion at some of our campgrounds, and that helps alleviate the potential bottlenecks that we might have. So with that, I know there's going to be a lot of questions that people have, and I'll be glad to answer those. But I also want to talk about some of the things that we're looking for from the community to be able to host RAGBRAI. And so really, how can you help? We feel that we're going to have about 400 volunteer slots that we know we're going to need filled. That could be from information booths. It could be working the event downtown where the concert is, selling beer tickets or helping serve beer and beverages. It could be at the welcome rally or just directing people to their campgrounds and those kind of things. But also another big part of it is hosting riders. We receive requests daily from different groups of riders. It could be riders of a dozen. It might be just a family of 4. It could be a group of 20 that are looking for a place to stay, that don't want to stay in a campground. They'd rather be in somebody's backyard or front yard, that maybe is willing to give up a restroom that has a shower and a bathroom, but they want to stay outside, or a place where they can park their RV in their driveway. So that is something that we are developing a website so that RAGBRAI riders can go to that and fill out a request form. And then we will promote that to Ames residents, and Ames residents can go on there and say, oh, I can handle a family of 4 or a family of 6, and I'm willing to give up a bathroom and a shower. And then you can actually communicate and connect with them one-on-one to answer more questions, or see if that still is a good fit, and you can be able to select that right off of that website. So that's one other way that you can help. And the other thing is, this does take a lot of financial support. The city, the university is helping, but we're trying to at least minimize the actual cost that it is to host RAGBRAI. And if we can at least help with cost recovery for both the city and the university and some of our private entities, that will certainly help. And so we do have a sponsorship package that we put together, and we've got a number of great sponsors that are already planning to help us, but we obviously need some more help. So if you could save the date, July 25th is when they'll be arriving to town, and we will want to make sure that we put our best foot forward for all RAGBRAI riders and all of our visitors, because we know that there's also a lot of support staff that comes along with the riders themselves. So with that, I'll be glad to take any questions. I do have a couple other things there. One other thing I want to share, but be glad to open it up for maybe specific questions about Discover Ames, or RAGBRAI specific questions.
And I would suggest people use the chat to do so. And there are a couple in there, Kevin, and some
Okay.
also relate to some of the other topics we talked about earlier today. So if you don't catch those, I will later.
Oh yeah, someone mentioned that, yeah, South 4th for the stadium is down Jack Trice Way. We'll be glad to update that. Do riders have to sign up for campsites? No, but larger teams or larger groups, and that when I say larger, maybe 50 or more riders, we prefer that they inform us that they're coming, and we can assign location for them. That would certainly help, but they're not required to. So we have a lot of the RV lots, or I'm sorry, the grass lots that are used for tailgating, the one that's along University and the one over by, there's a couple over by Vet Med. Those will be used just for people that show up and are looking to camp. We'll be utilizing those. And we'll have people that will help maximize those areas to help park so we can fill them as much as possible. Is the route to leave town on Wednesday the same as the entry route on Tuesday? Yeah, Chad, great question. I forgot to mention that. So the route out of town is the same route. They will not cross the footbridge and go into Jack Trice, but it's basically from University and Mortensen. From that point on, the city will be closing westbound Mortensen. And so riders will be going out Mortensen back to South Dakota and then South Dakota to Slater. Yeah, Deb, thanks for mentioning that. As far as the Jack Trice Way is a way to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his unfortunate death. And so we actually, as part of RAGBRAI and our welcome, since we are going to the north side of Jack Trice Stadium to Albaugh Plaza, where the new memorial for Jack Trice was erected, that we're looking at how we can incorporate that and so that riders can see that as they enter Jack Trice Stadium. So thanks for mentioning that. How will this impact businesses during the day that are located downtown? Businesses downtown, I'm not sure what time we'll be closing it to traffic, but we will have businesses will still be open, obviously. We found out back in 2018 that we did not start activities downtown early enough that we were surprised how many people actually were downtown by 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now with this year, the route is a little bit longer than it was in 18, that it will take riders a little bit longer to get into town, but businesses are open downtown. We're still working on some of the activities that we'll be doing during the day, but the parking on Main Street will be closed and will not be allowed. We will have a main stage that will be down by Douglas. That's over by Dog-Eared Books is where the stage will be. It will be facing to the west. We will be working on parking. We've been working with Hunsaker about trying to utilize the land that will be developed as the link on Lincoln Way. That where all the buildings are now removed, we're working to utilize that for additional parking. We feel that we can get probably 400 to 500 cars in there. So that will help with some of the parking concerns for downtown. What are the downtown events planned? We're still working on that, Warren. We will have 2 stages. There'll be a main stage, as I mentioned, by Dog-Eared Books. There will be another stage that will be, is that Burnett, I think, but between US Bank and Everett's. Both stages will have music that will kind of be rotating back and forth. So there'll never be time where there will not be live entertainment. We're still working on what the other activities are that will be going on downtown. But we are anticipating that the main group that will be playing will be announced this week by RAGBRAI. Once that's announced, we can talk more about it. But I can tell you that the group performs regularly at the state fair, and that at the state fair, they have about 20 to 30,000 spectators when they perform. So it's a band that travels well. So we feel that it'll be a pretty good draw for Ames that night. Can nonprofit organizations set up concession stands as fundraisers? They can. We are handling all the vendors, and we do have a vendor permit on our website, DiscoverAmes.com. There's a link to all the RAGBRAI information. And we do have discounts for nonprofit organizations that are offered. We will wait and determine where these vendors or concession stands will be, because we don't want to oversaturate a particular area where maybe we've got too many food vendors or common food vendors. But we also want to make sure that our local businesses are not are still reaping the benefits of having RAGBRAI in town. Now, we're fortunate that we've got a lot of restaurants and places to eat, where a smaller town like Tama, where they're going to be 2 days after us, or even in Des Moines, where they're at Waterworks Park, there's no restaurants in Waterworks Park. There's nothing there. So they have to bring in everything. But we are fortunate that we've got a lot of restaurants. The footprint of the downtown event has a number of places there. And we know even the other areas like South Duff or Somerset, those restaurants are definitely going to be busy. But we will work with all those groups, and as we place the vendors in concession areas. Any other questions or comments?
Kevin, I had added on there, anything in conjunction with Campus Town? We're not planning anything in Campus Town. We know Campus Town will be busy just because of the proximity to a number of the campgrounds. But we are not planning any specific events there. There will be food trucks that will be downtown and at the Welcome Rally, as well as at some of the campgrounds. Brookside is a main campground for RAGBRAI. So we know we'll have a number of food trucks, info booths, and those kind of things at that location as well. So a lot of questions on RAGBRAI. Any other questions from our members on Discover Ames? I want to say this website's incredible. Whenever I go on a trip with my wife and I always go to the local community, and we have a very difficult time finding what's going to be going on in many of these communities. Your site is phenomenal.
Well, thank you. I do want to show you a little video that we put together. This was something that we created through a grant from the Iowa Economic Development, as well as their research park and the Ames Chamber. It's just kind of a highlight video of Ames that we can show our visitors and groups that are looking to come to Ames. Oops. with that, thank you.
Thank you. We had one other question come in from Jamie. He's asking how many were estimated to be here in 2018? And then if they want to get 100,000 riders going to Des Moines, how many more is that compared to 2018?
A lot. We estimated we had close to 30,000 riders in Ames in 18. It's hard to say. We're anticipating we're going to be closer to 40 to 50,000 riders. That's why we do need a lot of homes, a lot of people that are willing to put up riders in Ames. One of the things with that record ride is that their count will actually take place in Ankeny, where they will take the official count of riders. So they will be leaving Ames, going to Slater, then over to Polk City, and then they'll be cutting over to Ankeny. And with that being the official count, I don't think that we'll get 100,000 people coming to Ames, but we're going to get a lot. So we do have other parking areas that we've designated and different drop-off areas for people, multiple drop-off areas for people to be dropped off that Wednesday morning if they do choose to come to Ames.
To put that almost in perspective, that's almost 1.5 times the number of students we have in the fall.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ken.
Oh, absolutely. Let me conclude the presentation with, as I typically do, I guess, a quote. And this is regarding DiscoverAmes. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. And look at the eyes that DiscoverAmes has opened in their presentation and the opportunities to enjoy our lives here in this community. Significantly appreciated. Thank you very much for your presentation and being with us today, Kevin. I'm going to open back up the chat. We had two comments I wanted to, I'm having a hard time getting that open. I know one of the chat was today is a final day to register with a program presented by Mary Greeley that is going to take effect on May 6th. So if you can take a look at that. And also I had a question about volunteering for this weekend's event, Light into Darkness, or a Darkness into Light. And again, I'll ask Karen if she could reissue the email from Amy that gave the contact information and how to register for that. As always, I appreciate everybody's volunteerism, your work, and your dedication, not only to Rotary, but to the Ames community and the service above self. With that in mind, let's go with the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.